Hey everyone, Rhodes Perry here from the Imagine Belonging Substack. Yeah, I hope you are having a good start to your week. I wanted to come in to briefly share a bit about my time working at the White House. So this was almost 2 decades ago now. So it was very early in my career. I worked at the White House and I did not feel safe. The job itself was incredible. It was one where I got to manage an $11 billion budget when I was all of 26. And yet at the end of each day, I came home feeling exhausted and disconnected from my team. And the issue was that in everyday exchanges, uh, I had to do what was known as covering. So I had to cover an important aspect of who I am in order not to just fit in order to protect my job security. So at the time, I had already transitioned my gender. And so my colleagues got my name and my pronouns right, even though I wasn't open about being a trans man. And the reason why was that because in 20 in 2006, the White House did not extend important job protections to me. Namely, they did not have protections on the basis of gender identity. So not only did this signal to me that bringing my real self to work, sharing more about who I am in order to build trust and rapport with my colleagues wasn't an option. Also, another thing that wasn't an option was actually getting the health care that I needed. So at that time, all the way up until 2024, the federal government had a blanket exclusion for providing basic healthcare coverage that cisgender people who are not trans, also received. So at the time, I was unable to get my insurance to to cover my hormone therapy treatment. Meanwhile, cisgender men, my colleagues that I worked with who may need to receive similar treatment, had that coverage paid for. So, because of a very brave trans person who was a retiree in 2013 and 2014, was running into those same challenges and had filed a claim with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to make sure that that coverage was paid for, he battled for 8 years. And finally, the EEOC in 2024 said, yep, we recognize that this is a violation of the US Civil Rights Act of 1964, specifically on the basis of gender identity. And so that blanket exclusion was removed. Now, fast forward to where we are today. On March 27th, the current EEOC commission, under the leadership of Andrea Lucas, reversed that decision, meaning that for the many, many different trans and non binary employees employed by the federal government, they now have to experience what I experienced in 2006, going back into the dinosaur ages. And it's heartbreaking. It's also not lost on me that this coverage was taken away just days before the Trans Day of Visibility. And so there was one stinging dissent from an appointee who recognized that this is just wrong. And it's not only wrong, it's bad for the workplace. It violates the contract of belonging, right? We show up, we can do the job, we want to do the job, we want to contribute and add to the culture. Yet a fundamental element of belonging is support. You get what you need so you can do your best work. I get what I need so I can do my best work. We come together, we come across our differences so that we can innovate and do really great things together. But if we are denied the basics, which is this basic healthcare, right? If we're denied that, it makes it incredibly difficult to show up and give it 100%, let alone 10%, let alone 5%. So just kind of let that sink in. I'm not here to add to the headlines that are out there. What I'm here to add is to say, here's another pressure, here's another stressor that once again pushes some of us further to the margins, right? And yet, chances are you follow the Substack, you follow my work because you believe in being an architect at building belonging, building spaces of belonging. And in order for us to build those spaces, we certainly have to feel it in our tissues, right? Like we are hardwired. Our nervous system is hardwired to feel this sense of belonging. And so, I get a lot of phone calls. I get people who say, how do we actually do this? And one of the offerings that I have right now is to specifically support leaders who want to raise their hand and say, not on my watch. This is not going to happen in my organization, right? I want to show up, and I want to show up for those in my workforce um, who might be outside of this workspace, navigating a lot of new pressures that we've never seen before, right? So I want to do something different. And I'm recognizing that most of the dated leadership development programs, the dated coaching that's out there, focuses on right action. It focuses on new strategies and new tactics, right? That if we just think harder and if we just do more, then we'll resolve this issue. And that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to remind you that there is wisdom stored within your tissues. And as leaders, we want to learn how to excavate that, especially in moments where we're not sure what to do, we're not sure what to say, we're not sure how to be, right? And all eyes are on us, right? Those dated programs, those leadership programs don't necessarily prepare you for those moments where you start to feel that uncertainty in your chest. Maybe it's a weight, or maybe it's quick breathing, or maybe there's a heat of sweat, right? And it's a high stakes situation. So what do you do in those moments? That's why I created the Roads Less Traveled coaching program. So you can learn about that program. I included a few things in the description of this video that I encourage you to scroll down to. And it's specifically the section for a call for courageous leadership. So you're here because you probably, like me, you can look at the headlines, you could look to people in very visible leadership positions, and there's sometimes a silence, there's sometimes a callousness. There's kind of the opposite of what we're looking for in these moments. And so I encourage you, if you're interested, how do I move away from performative strategy? How do I tend to my nervous system when I'm feeling dysregulated? And yet I have to also be there to hold what my team has. How do I build genuine safety and trust for myself? How do I build that for those that I lead? How do I feel it inside of myself? Right? That's what this program is about. So the world doesn't need you to be perfect. That's a trap. It's not going to happen anyway, right? It needs you to be real. It needs for the truest version of your leadership, right? Your authentic expression of how to lead yourself and others through these times, right? That's what the world needs. That's what your team needs. And that's what you're likely craving for. So if you're ready to build more capacity to be with what is, right? And to make different choices, even under the same old circumstances and now these new stressors, then I encourage you to check out and apply to the Roads Less Traveled coaching program. We're going to be running this next month in May, and it's a total of 6 different sessions. So it's actually from the end of April to the first week of June, right? And it's an opportunity for you to be with a small group of peers so that you can explore some of the somatic leadership coaching skills that you're not going to find in many other places right now. So if you're looking for this level of support, I highly encourage you to apply. I'm always available. So if you want to leave a comment and reach out, let me know. I just want to be responsive to what we're seeing in the world right now, to the callousness and to sometimes the indifference or the overwhelm, of just kind of throwing up hands and just trying to power through at the expense of ourselves and certainly those that we lead. So I hope that you check this coaching program out. If not for you, then I encourage you to share it with other people. And I thank you for tuning in and to listening to this video. And I will see you soon. All right. Thanks so much for growing our belonging movement from the inside out.